The console wars was and still debatably is one of the biggest first world debates you could have in history. Yelling over each other about whether or not PlayStation or Xbox was better. I mean, like, even South Park joined in on it, and PC players talking about PC Master Race, and everything was just kind of wild. However, most recent events with Sony have led me to believe that Sony really did fall off and is now only just a little bit better than Nintendo. Most recently, as of this recording, PlayStation has decided to increase the price of PlayStation Plus across its essential 1 month and 3 month variants by 10 and 12% respectively. Nothing has really been said about the 12-month essential or the other extra and premium. And they supposedly are saying that it's because of market conditions for the raise. I mean, like, because of various prices, price of making the consoles, sure, maybe. But correct me if I'm wrong, but how do online services get affected by the market aside from those hardware parts? I am not very smart in this department, but I'm sure Fortnite tried making the same argument when they lowered the amount of V-Bucks you got while keeping them at the same price. It just doesn't make sense to me. What does make sense, though, is the fact that earlier this month, May 8th, at the time of this script hardly more than 10 days ago, Sony, the big brand behind PlayStation, saw a loss of $500 million by spending it on Marathon. And I think they spent more than that, it's just that they lost $500 million, but I was never really a big fan of Marathon. I never really knew what Marathon was. I know it's an extraction shooter, but I never really was into extraction shooters in the first place because, I don't even know what that truly means. But when I saw one of my favorite YouTubers play it for a sponsored video, sounding bored as hell, I just knew Marathon had to have sucked. There's no way I could enjoy it if he didn't enjoy it. Now, I'm not pointing fingers, but the numbers and dates don't lie. It does look a little suspicious, but it is just kind of speculation that it seems there may be a connection between the losses from Marathon and the price increase. The price change of PlayStation Plus isn't even new. Back in 2025, Canada and other various regions, excluding the USA and other parts of Europe, had Sony raise the PlayStation Plus prices, like the same ones they're raising now, by over 16%, which is more than what they're trying to raise now, which was only 10 to 12%, in case you forgot. And so not only did Canada get kicked in the balls essentially, we're getting ready for round 2. Now, not only was this a huge L for Sony, it also solidifies that they may be willing to say whatever just so they can raise prices, as both in 2025 and 2026 they've claimed that they raise prices because of market conditions, which may be partly true, especially since parts to make consoles have gone up and sales may have dipped. However, in June 13th of 2025, shortly after the price increase in Canada, articles and the actual report from Sony stated that they were seeing so much success that they wanted to capitalize off the momentum and raise prices to maximize their own profits. That's not even to mention that there would be no reason to buy PlayStation Plus if they had kept the online multiplayer free and not stuck behind a paywall when we already needed to buy the console and the game. The various benefits from the tiers of PlayStation Plus, such as Essential, Extra, and Premium, aren't even that good compared to the unnecessary stuff they kind of added. Essential has the typical 3 monthly free games that once the month is over, the games no longer become free for an unknown period of time until when or if they decide to add it back. The good thing is that even when the game gets removed from the free games list, you can still download it for free by having the corresponding tier of PlayStation Plus active. Now, it's good to mention that you need to have at least added it to your library while it was in the free game section. I forgot to add that. PlayStation Plus Extra is hardly an upgrade from Essential, only adding catalogs of Ubisoft games and various PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games, which the amount of free games it gives is good, I'll admit, but it's more or less quantity over quality, as I'm sure anyone who has PlayStation Plus Extra has only ever downloaded a few games from the catalog that they seem worth, and only ever downloaded more to make the subscription feel more worth it. That being said, I'm not sure what's all going on with Ubisoft, but I do remember there was a huge thing with them saying they wanted to make their games more on a license base rather than actually owning the game, or you have the key to use the game but not actually owning it. So having a catalog of games that we probably won't even have access to if they decide to go through with that is an interesting choice. PlayStation Plus Premium does have a few aspects, however it costs so much and it barely outweighs all the negative stuff about it. You can go on a trial for certain newer games and see whether or not you actually want to buy the game and play it for yourself, and you got the Classics catalog on top of the Ubisoft and PlayStation 4 catalogs, which the Classics catalog adds everything from before the PlayStation 4 into this catalog. However, it's only a select number of games, and some of them aren't like interesting. Like it's all just stuff for people blinded by nostalgia. I myself considered buying it because Bolt was on there. Up from the PS3 was on there. However, the reason I don't get these things is because the games I played back when I was a kid weren't on there. For example, on the PlayStation 4, there used to be a subscription called PlayStation Now, in which you could play games like Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Generations, which used to only be available on the PlayStation 3. However, now that even though PlayStation Now got replaced by PlayStation Plus Premium, there is still no Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Generations, or even games that you could get on the PlayStation 3, like Sonic Adventures 1 and 2. And don't even think about Sonic Heroes, that was never in any catalog, so you don't get to play those games. And I'm sure there are other games from other franchises, it's just Sonic's the one I know. There was also a game called Rise to Honor that I played on the PlayStation 2, and that is also not on there. So none of my taste is on there, so there's no reason for me to get it, and I don't know if there's any reason people would get it, but apparently a lot of people did, because there was a lot of people who bought the PlayStation Extra and Premium. I don't get it, because they just kind of cherry pick what games they add based on some sort of statistic. I don't know what, because I'm sure if it was based off of popularity, Sonic would at least have one game up there. And like, I don't know about other games like being as popular as they are. I've never heard anyone talk about them or anything of that sort until ever. Even when they were added on the catalog, I almost never hear anyone talking about it. Like, there's a game called Medieval. I don't even know what that game is. I've never heard anyone talk about it. So I don't understand why this catalogs still exist, or this classics catalog exists, and yet there's like not a lot of the classics on there. I've been loyal to PlayStation for like the entirety of my life, but even I have started like getting in my own head when it comes to this sort of stuff, and now I'm starting to consider actually selling my PS5 just so I can get a PC or like a laptop or whatever to actually play some of these games on without needing to spend hundreds of dollars. Because once you start getting to the subscriptions, at some point you would have spent enough that you should have just gotten like a PC to play these games off of, because there's a good chance that some of these games you're paying money for on a PC could be free or could be accessed for free. So you're essentially just throwing money into a well that's just going to keep demanding more until eventually you have nothing left to offer. I feel like it's one thing to capitalize on momentum to raise profits. I mean, after all, like, I guess I probably would do the same thing if I had like a company, but I have no clue. But to start making everything into a possible profit by cutting out games that other people might like just because this game series is more popular feels a little out of touch. And raising PlayStation Plus prices on a whim just feels like either a desperate attempt to save face from all the money they lost, or just a case of Icarus flying too close to the sun. These days, even as someone who has played PlayStation for damn near my whole life, Xbox is starting to look mighty fine about now. However, even Xbox, with all the positive changes they're doing, still have online multiplayer locked behind a paywall. And with Steam coming out with their own console, supposedly aimed to release this year, the answer couldn't be more obvious. Especially the fact that Microsoft and Valve are partnered, so whatever would make me sway to the Xbox is now already on Steam. Combined with the fact that Steam can let you basically do anything and actually care about the community and don't make online multiplayer and online subscription, I wish I had asked for a computer when I was a kid. At least in terms of consoles, Xbox seems to be a clear winner until Steam Machine releases. PlayStation is digging themselves a very slow grave, and the Nintendo Switch 2 will never be worth it. I won't let some content creator tell me otherwise. In terms of general gaming, Steam still seems to be the best, at least from my eyes, though who knows what might happen in the future, where each company needs a new CEO that could either fix or ruin everything. Only time will tell. But as a man with a gambling habit and terrible luck, chances are we'll get a CEO that does the latter, and gaming may die in the years to come.